very simple question. How disruptive do you see the diversion of so much traffic via the Cape of Good Hope rather than going through the Suez Canal?
All right. Good morning, and thank you for having me on. It's a big question you're asking. I think what we've seen so far is that several of the major liners have opted to go around Africa instead of through the canal. And on our numbers, just looking at the increased distance, I mean, we're talking about adding 30 to 70% maybe to the sailing distance of these vessels, and naturally that has an impact both on the cost and also on the supply and availability of shipping capacity, which then starts to get stretched and therefore could become an issue at some point.
And yet, I noticed that you have got a sell on Maersk as well, and you've made the very succinct point. Suez hype insufficient to overcome fundamental oversupply. That is the problem for the industry, isn't it?
It is. Unfortunately, you can say you've had a period now that's seen weak demand, and also you've had massive ordering at the yards, which means that there's several vessels coming into service in the coming years, and I think that's going to fundamentally pressure the sector. That being said, though, I think it's fair to highlight the point that things like this definitely pose an upside risk to our fundamental thesis for these type of equities and stocks. And the longer this continues and the more dramatic the impact will be, and we'll see that in the coming days and weeks, this should have a meaningful impact. I mean, when you look at the fundamental balance here and the utilization of the fleet, our assumption is that we are perhaps in the low 70s compared to an average prior to the pandemic around 85. So that illustrates the problem. And if you look at the numbers here, I would say that diverting all sort of the Far East to Europe type cargoes, you're looking potentially to add 8 percentage points to that number. So you're still at a low place, but of course, these kinds of disruptions, they definitely tend to be positive with regards to the revenue streams in these types of companies.
Jørgen, how quickly do the price rises come in for clients, and how long do they typically stick around for?
Well, again, this all comes down to how long this is going to last. I think the news from yesterday evening of the coalition now headed down to restore some order in the region is of course contributing to perhaps easing some of this pressure again, but for the time being, we don't really know. You saw already over the weekend that you started to see increased costs for shipping, and there have been news reports that some of the liners are trying to push through rather dramatic price hikes on the back of this to illustrate the point that you're going to have to sail much further, and the availability of capacity to ship things will be more strained than before. So, but looking at the cost here, if you just apply sort of the new distance and how much this would add to the landed cost of a container on our numbers, looking at the Far East to Europe once more, I mean, you're looking probably somewhere between 6 to 8% added cost just on the fuel side, and then we'll see how much capacity that's idle today or available in the industry that you manage to soak up by sailing much further distances, and by that, getting more leverage to pressure up the price among the customers.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.